welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And this episode is going to be about the Commonwealth. We're going to be talking about the Commonwealth,
yes,
which follows on from our previous episode about the fall of the British Empire.
And why do we keep doing topics about which we know nothing?
We know everything about this.
It's because they're topics that we find interesting. Listen,
and we're just going to have a discussion about them.
Yeah, we're just talking about
We're going to raise a glass.
We're not professing
talk about things
to be experts on these things. We're not saying tune into this podcast to learn everything you need to know about the British Commonwealth.
At this point, we're just talking.
Just talking.
Everybody's been talking.
No, so what happens? Just a little behind the scenes thing for you.
Behind the scenes.
What happens is we sit around and we think of these podcast topics, or sometimes you guys recommend them, suggest them, ask for them, whatever. And we're like, what about the Commonwealth? What's that all about?
What's that all about, May?
Yeah,
what's it all about?
What is the Commonwealth? We need to talk about that because, people like me, Americans like me, we have no idea what the Commonwealth is. So Dominic gets on his little computer and he...
It's a little computer too, it's very tiny.
Does a little bit of research. That's him typing. And then he prints up some notes. And here we are.
I mean, basically the Commonwealth, to put it down.
Just to get right in there.
I mean, to boil it down, it's basically like the United Nations, but without much power.
Okay.
I mean, it's
the United Nations of Britain.
It's kind of honorary, yes. Okay. Well, it's not even the British Commonwealth anymore, because, I mean, it's just the Commonwealth of Nations now.
Okay.
And it was formed in 1926 as the British Commonwealth of Nations.
Yeah. But isn't the Queen the head of it?
The Queen is the head of it, yes.
So it's not just like the United Nations. I mean, she's not the Queen.
She's
not the head of the United Nations.
She is. You didn't know that.
Don't try to say this so seriously, just to see if I'm going to go, she is.
No, it comprises of 54 countries.
Yeah.
Member states, if you want to call them.
And they used to be colonies?
A good majority of them did, yes, but some of them can apply now with links to former colonies.
Okay, so the United States could join the Commonwealth if we wanted to?
The United States could join the Commonwealth if it wanted, because Canada is a part of the Commonwealth.
What is the benefit of that?
Canada's part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Canada has the Queen on their money, though. We don't.
Well, it doesn't say that. You don't have to. I mean, there's a lot of places in Africa that don't. India's part of it, Australia.
Okay, so before we get ahead of ourselves, just back it up and tell me what's going on here.
It was originally created as the British Commonwealth of Nations through the Balfour Declaration at the 1926 Imperial Conference.
Okay, and you just read that. You didn't just pull that out of your head.
I didn't pull that out of my head. I read that, but I did the and it was formalized by the United Kingdom through the State Statute of Westminster in 1931.
Okay.
The current Commonwealth of Nations was formally constituted by the London Declaration in 1949, which modernized the community and established the member states as free and equal. So what it was is the empire saw, after 1920, it was like the empire, whoever controls the empire, the queen, whatever, the king, as it was then. The monarchy was kind of like, nothing can stop us, we're all the way up. But now we're at the kind of top. It's all downhill from here. Yeah. And we need to get something going here that's kind of like a transition, so we don't, people don't rise up and, kill, whoever's in charge of South Africa, Rhodesia, whatever, Canada,
Yeah.
Ireland or whatever, Ireland had violence and everything,
Yeah.
So it's just we need to peacefully, because we can't keep this up.
Yeah.
The First World War was just taxing on so many levels, and they were preparing for another war.
So basically it's sort of a way of keeping the empire, but by asking these countries do you want to still be a part of this?
Do you want to still be a part of this? Yes, you
Yeah.
can apply to join, and you'll have all the economic benefits, and Queen will be the head.
Okay, you say all the economic benefits. Like, what are the benefits of being part of the Commonwealth, though? What is the
right now?
It's not like
it's kind of it's become honorary. You get to vote on things.
Being part of
you have
the
a
EU,
tiny little bit of influence.
Because being part of the EU, let's say, they all share a currency. So So their economies are all actually literally linked together.
Yeah, that's not.
There's nothing to do with that in the Commonwealth, right?
And it never was, really.
Yeah.
Even in the British Empire, it never really was.
It's a little bit of like a club.
It's a club. It's an exclusive club where you get to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a member of this club.
We're buddies. We've got each other's backs.
We've got each other's backs." Yeah, because they hold conferences, and it's very much kind of like, yes, would you like to be member of this association that was formerly an empire state?
You were forced to be a part of this. Now we're giving you the option.
And when it was created, Ireland was originally part of it.
Oh yeah.
But then in 1949, they formally recognized Ireland's independence. So Ireland withdrew, and they've never applied to rejoin since. And also, if something happens in, say, like South Africa had a bad thing with apartheid, they were kicked out.
Okay, yeah.
Their membership was suspended.
Yeah.
They were no longer allowed in the club because of what they were up to.
Right.
They formally applied to rejoin.
We can't be associated with the likes
And I
of
think
you.
they rejoined in 1994 when Nelson Mandela became president.
Okay, yeah.
So they had that, and they're still a member today. I think Zambia withdrew. Oh no, maybe it was Zimbabwe, because they had sanctions against them, and then they voluntarily left.
Oh yeah.
And now I think they've gone to
for like human
rights
things.
Yeah, because now there's a lot of criteria to join, because going back, the Statute of Westminster in 1931 declared it as a fundamental founding document of the organization, laid out that membership required dominionhood. So you had to be a former dominion of the British Empire to join.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like Canada, Australia, whatever, they all automatically had membership.
Right, if they wanted
Yeah,
it.
Ireland, yeah, whatever.
It's sort of like a way for the monarchy to still be able to be like, oh yes, we still have all of this country, that country, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yes, but they're free and equal now.
Yeah.
And then in 1949, the London Declaration ended this, allowing Republican and Indigenous monarchic members on the condition that they recognise the British monarch as the head of the Commonwealth.
Okay, yeah.
So if the USA were to join, they'd have to recognise the Queen as the head of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And they're not going to. It's like it's.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Australia. They've been kind of looking to get rid of out of the Commonwealth and get rid of the head of state for a while. Canada, it goes back and forth. They're like fine, yeah. It's like, this is how it's always been. Why change it now?
Yeah.
But in the wave of decolonization in the 1960s, the constitutional principles were augmented by political, economic, and social principles. The first of those was set out in 1961, when it was decided that respect for racial equality would be a requirement for membership.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
that's rich coming from the British Empire at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we've got to respect racial equality. So that's why South Africa was kicked out pretty early on.
Yeah.
Because apartheid and all that, And that led directly to the withdrawal of South Africa's reapplication. because I mean you can apply, and they've got to like it's like the EU. They apply and they assess you, and they go, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because I think Nigeria is members, and they were never part of the British Empire. But it's like Mozambique.
No, isn't there a whole episode of The Crown dealing with that? She goes to Nigeria, right? And I think it was Nigeria.
It was 1959. Yeah, because
was it Nigeria or was it Kenya? I can't remember.
Or was it 1954? I don't know. It was one of the. It was when people were like, "What is the point of this Commonwealth?"
Yeah, they were like, "Get them out of here.
Yeah,
we don't want any part of this."
The African states were like, "We'll just join up with Russia."
Yeah.
We'll do the Soviet Union, you know.
Because the Queen's like, she has no more authority like in Britain, right? She's purely just a figurehead.
She's purely a figurehead.
But so having the Commonwealth, it's like one last thing that the monarchy has, because it doesn't have anything to do with the British government, does it? The Commonwealth?
No, it's a diplomatic kind of thing, though. It's very useful for diplomatic functions and negotiations and stuff, which is what the royal family are essentially for now. Because diplomatic functions.
I seem to remember. Well, there's that episode where she goes to Africa and she dances with the prime minister of whichever country it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, because they were looking at going, the Soviets have offered us, a better deal here,
Yeah.
And communism seems to be the way to go, and I think the US was kind of like, don't let them do that.
Yeah. So she goes over and that's like a big deal. But then there was another episode much later on when Thatcher was in office, right? Where they're doing a Commonwealth thing.
Yes.
And Thatcher's just like, oh, what is the point of this Commonwealth
It was sanctions
nonsense?
Against something. It was sanctions against South Africa, I think. I think
so, yeah. She didn't want to say, oh no, you can't,
because she was this is a political thing, she was very with South Africa at that point,
but I think she was also just like, ugh, the Commonwealth.
Yeah, she thought it was a load of
and it's very
crap,
important to the Queen, of course.
It's very important because it's like, it's something she's head of.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I
need my Commonwealth.
My Commonwealth of Nations.
My Commonwealth.
I need to do my Commonwealth. It's like, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's an alliance, really. It's like a loose alliance.
Yeah. That was the first thing that came to mind, was like, it's like the Allied nations during the war,
And it's like, if the Commonwealth, all got together and decided, yeah, you know what?
We're going to take over the world.
Then, steps would be taken to break it up, But it's just kind of like, it's just at this point, it's just a club. It's just a diplomatic club. It helps with all diplomatic relations with nations who are
between the governments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it helps on like a country's CV, resume.
When they're applying for their jobs.
When they're applying for trade deals and stuff, I imagine it looks pretty good. They can maybe get a trade deal because we're part of the Commonwealth. And, whatever.
I would imagine it has something to do. I don't know if there's anything in your notes. Probably they loan money to each other and stuff. The countries within the Commonwealth.
They help out economically. No, I've looked into it because there's a lot of it.
Yeah. There's a lot of benefits, a lot more than I guess it would seem.
Yes.
On the surface.
And it's basically, but on the surface, it's kind of like a force for good. They tried to turn the empire into a force for good. World peace, human rights,
right?
Liberty, equality, fraternity, free trade, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, they've tried to kind of like, the British Empire was bad. The Commonwealth is good,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Commonwealth is a good thing.
Now we've gotten down to it. They're trying to erase the British Empire from people's minds.
It's kind of like that, yes.
And just go, no, there was no empire. There was no, forget about that.
And it's just kind of like, Because, it's...
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's the phrase I was looking for.
That's what it was, yes. Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like... And it was a way to kind of say, because everybody's like, oh, Britain...
Empire,
British Empire
bad. Commonwealth, good.
Yes. That's kind of what it is, yes.
Okay.
Except without any kind of, like, military... It was basically just withdrawing the military from all these countries and governors and all that kind of nonsense, political heads but that being said, now you can apply to join.
Yeah.
And it must be attractive to most of these African nations.
Yeah.
Because, it's links with Europe and, and then links with Europe and Britain.
Yeah.
And the head of, and, Brexit and all that kind of stuff. That kind of probably muddies it even more so.
Yeah, I wonder how they all felt, but I mean, being that she has no political influence, really,
it's just
queen,
a mess.
Then I guess,
She has no political influence, but she can,
yeah,
tell the Prime Minister, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good idea,
yeah, but she's not supposed to.
She's not supposed to, but...
But still, I wonder what the countries of the Commonwealth, I wonder what that, like, their most recent meetings were like, before Brexit. They must have just been like,
because she's
doing?
Appointed Charles to be the successor, and it's not a hereditary position. It's not like the monarchy.
Oh, okay.
But at the 2018 conference, she said, yeah, Charles is going to take over. But I think they all have to vote on it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a rule. But it's because it's like, it's not really hereditary, and it's like, will they accept him?
Because it's only been going since she's been in office, right? Since she's been queen.
No, it hasn't.
How old is it then?
1926.
26. Oh, so since her dad?
King George V?
No? Right, it would have been...
Edward.
It would have been...
Edward
was his brother, right?
Yes. I can see the picture now that they
26,
took, and it was the guy with Edward the 7th.
Their dad.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it Edward? Because King George V.
Okay, anyway, it's been going since before her.
It was the king was on the throne. One of the kings was on the throne. One of the Edwards or the George V.
And so they just so they passed it down like
it's
based on whoever.
And it's kind of like,
king or queen at the moment.
And it's kind of like it's kind of a political entity, and
I mean,
it's not at the end of the day, but it's because
it's not a situation of Charles going, oh, I don't want this, let's give it to Boris.
No.
Yeah.
It's got to.
It's
got to be like it's got to be the head of the Commonwealth has got to be like a monarch.
It's got to be someone in the royal family.
Because I mean, if they gave it to, I don't know, Richard Branson or something to do.
Yeah.
Oh, he's head of the Commonwealth now. It's like, what's the royal family doing then?
Yeah.
Other than just being tourist attractions.
Yeah.
That's them doing a Harry and Meghan and saying, I don't want that job anymore. And, I'm going to live my private life.
So are you saying that it's one of the most important things that the monarchy
It's a very important thing, because at the end of the day, it's still,
Yeah.
It's a diplomatic thing, and it's...
Yeah.
It's, there's just so much to it.
Mm.
Because, I mean, you could theoretically apply.
It's really difficult for
Mexico,
an American to
Yeah,
to
because,
wrap our
I mean, at the end of the
heads
day,
around.
it's like the empire's gone.
Yeah.
And the Commonwealth has superseded it.
Mm.
And it's just very much like...
The empire's dead, long live the empire.
Long live the empire, yes. To... be Star Wars or whatever. It's just like, but I think it's an important, like, it's an important thing for them, because it's like it does impact their economies, and it does impact, even though it's like
obviously there's some benefits. I mean, we would need a lot more research. We would need to know a lot more about it to probably be able to say exactly everything that they,
because the UN has its own army. It's got a peacekeeping force, which they donate.
I didn't know that.
All the member states of the UN donate soldiers to this.
Oh, I did not know that.
You never seen them on the news with the blue hats?
I don't
Or we've
know.
got to, they've got to be like a peacekeeping force, and it's like made up of all. It's the UN. They've got the UN on them, and their soldiers. They go into like areas that they need to where there's unrest or whatever. You know, and of course the UN does sanctions on places like North Korea, and all these other places that are like threatening with nuclear power and all this kind of stuff. With the Commonwealth, it's like that theoretically could happen, but then it's like, then you just turned it into an empire again, haven't you?
I mean, because, it's sort of just like, what is the point of the Commonwealth when you have the UN?
This is what the podcast is about. What's the point of the Commonwealth? Well,
no, I think we talked about this. I think this podcast episode came from that episode of The Crown, because it was just like, what is the point of the Commonwealth? And I'm still not 100% getting it, because
I don't think anyone can say it's like the fall of the British Empire. No one can say how definitively it impacts the world, because if it just dissolved tomorrow, would people miss it? What would happen? The countries wouldn't collapse, I don't think.
Because are most of the countries in the Commonwealth also members of the UN?
No.
Okay, so maybe that's then the benefit.
The UN or NATO?
Yeah.
Well, I think the UN is. I haven't done any research on the UN. I don't know how many member states. I know the UK, the US, Canada, all the major superpowers are members of the UN.
Yeah.
And
so maybe the Commonwealth acts as like a representative for some of these smaller countries that are not big enough
at the UN
to join the UN or something like that.
And it's mainly African.
It's strength in numbers, isn't it?
It's strength in numbers. It's alliances. It's like like the European Union.
Yeah. Because God, really, when you think about it, what is the United States part of besides the UN?
NATO.
Yeah.
But no, it's not anymore, is it? Because Trump pulled you out, didn't he?
Of NATO.
I think he did. I don't know if they've rejoined or whatever, if they're going to rejoin, but...
Okay, so do you have a list of all the countries that are part of the Commonwealth?
Well, funnily enough, I checked on the internet, and we do!
Oh my gosh.
We do, and it's quite a long list, so you're going to have to get down there and scroll, because we're doing this the old way. In Africa, I think that's the biggest continent with members.
Yeah.
We've got Botswana, Cameroon, the Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, Kingdom of Eswatini, I don't know what that is, Lesotho, Malawi, Mauritius, Mozambique. That was one of the controversial members because I don't think it was ever colonized by Britain.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't really have any links. Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Uganda, United Republic of Tanzania, and Zambia. And in Asia, we've got Bangladesh, we've got Brunei Darussalam, India, Malaysia, Maldives, Pakistan, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and the Caribbean. There you go. Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Canada. Canada? Oh, the Americas, of course. Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, these were all places in the Caribbean that Britain had.
Yeah.
Europe, Cyprus, Malta, and United Kingdom.
Cyprus and Malta.
Cyprus and Malta were British territories.
Okay, yeah.
Pacific, Australia, Fiji, Kiribati, Nauru. I don't know if you say Nauru.
Nauru sounds right.
Yeah. New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu.
Jeez, yeah.
Vanuatu.
There's a lot more because, I don't know, for some reason I was just thinking
basically everywhere that the British had some sort of big colony.
Yeah.
And the outlying islands that surrounded it. Like Australia, you had Fiji, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Navy all went up there and declared, You know, it's like,
Yeah.
we're under our influence now. Cyprus and Malta, Europe, obviously, Spain and all the other places, and France and all that would never want to become part of the Commonwealth.
Well, no. Well, they were never...
Well, they're in the European Union anyway.
Yeah, but they were never colonized by Britain, though, were they? Yeah, I mean, France. And
Can you imagine
Can you imagine France being part of the Commonwealth? God.
But, I mean, you don't have to be a former dominion anymore. You can be whatever.
Oh, I thought...
They've opened it up now to the rest of the world.
I thought you said they...
It's like Facebook, when it used to be only part of the university. It's like they've decided, we'll open up applications for the rest of the world. See who wants to become part of the Commonwealth. Oh my
God, yeah, but it's just like, can you imagine France and Spain and the United States becoming part of the Commonwealth? It's just like, no.
No, they wouldn't accept the Queen as the head of state.
No.
I think, the head of Commonwealth. She's not really the head of state, but I guess in a lot of these African countries, that it's what they've always kind of known. They've got ties to South Africa. They've got, it's the only way to go for them.
Yeah,
really.
I guess. I don't know. The whole thing is just odd. The whole thing is weird. And then there's Commonwealth Games, isn't there? That are sort of like the Olympics, but not. I mean, it's just like, I understand because there's so many different, I guess, continents, countries on different continents that are all part of the Commonwealth. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah, there's something to, show unity.
Yes,
or,
yes.
I don't know. But
it's, again, as we touched upon, Empire bad, Commonwealth good.
Yeah.
Because our work from their website is the Commonwealth is an association of 54 countries working towards shared goals of prosperity, democracy, and peace.
Why are you doing that in like the Queen's voice?
Because that's how you got to. The Commonwealth Secretariat is the intergovernmental organisation which coordinates and carries out much of the Commonwealth's work, supported by a network of more than 80 organisations. The Secretariat works all over the Commonwealth to protect the environment and encourage sustainable use of natural resources on land and sea, boost trade and economy, support democracy, government and the rule of law, develop society and young people, including gender equality, education, health and sport.
It's a little bit
support small states, helping them tackle the particular challenges they face.
It's a little bit like their, them trying to make up for slavery.
It's yes.
It's just like, guys, remember when we did all that really bad stuff? Well, now we're trying to do some really good stuff. Look over here. Look what we're doing. We even have games.
I mean, yes. I mean, it's basically to kind of like...
I mean, I guess
make up for... Because there's 42
really.
Small states in the world.
Yeah.
And 32 of them are part of the Commonwealth.
Oh, yeah.
And they're mostly in Africa. They're small countries that have... they're not...
Nobody even knows
about them. I mean, nobody even knows about Botswana, for instance, or anything like that. People don't think about them. They think, Botswana have declared war on the US. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, most people are like, where the hell's Botswana?
Or some of the really teeny little islands around the Caribbean and the South Pacific,
Trinidad, declaring war on everyone because they're just sick of their crap, It's just like...
yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good, ultimately, I think. It's like, you can be pissed off about everything that the Empire did. All the damage, if you want to call it that, around the world. But it's like, what's the point? It's finished.
It's done.
So they're trying to make up for that.
And it's like,
you
it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good.
All right, I get it. I think I get it. Maybe we've solved the mystery of the Commonwealth now, because I think halfway, at least through that podcast, I was still like,
well,
yeah,
it's
really
kind of like, they're doing all
this.
this and they say they're doing all this, but it's just like, are they doing all this? Or are they just getting charities to do it for them?
I mean, who knows?
Who knows? I mean, we'd have to delve deeper.
Yeah.
We'd have to get to the heart of it. And if anyone wants to fund us on a tour of the Commonwealth to see how they're getting on, go right ahead.
Oh,
All
my
expenses
gosh.
paid, of course.
Yes, of course.
And we'd forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But yes, I think that's it for the Commonwealth,
I
isn't
think,
it?
yeah, well, that's it. That's the end.
The end of the Commonwealth.
No more Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you were
Yes.
able to find some little nugget of enjoyment out of
Yes.
that podcast.
I think you were, weren't you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we appreciate your support so much. As always, be sure to check us out on social media. We are at TButty, TEABUTTY, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye!
Bye!